Right. Namo Buddhaya. Good evening to all here. Happy to see so many of you. I am Bhikkhuni Kachayana, and with the blessings and invitation of my senior ISO Panateri here, I will be your MC for the evening. So I'm happy to be here with ISO. Also, on my side here, we have Bhikkhuni Vandana. And let's see, a few members of our community that you don't see this evening in our Ayatthaloka and Venerable Tavira. Both of them are at Aranya Bodhi Hermitage and are not joining this evening due to illness. So we want to send our special blessings to both of them this evening. Others also there at Aranya Bodhi Hermitage this evening are Venerable Tamawara and Venerable Tamanusari, both taking care of things there. And happy to see online here, Ananda Bodhi, Marajina, Santachita, all venerables. Let's see, who else is here? Venerable Tamaruchika, welcome. And yes, and Deepak, welcome.
Thank
And
you.
Many friends here. Glad you could all join us this evening. So we're going to begin actually with just a few minutes of silence together to settle in, arrive in this moment, and also probably a few more people will be tuning in the next few minutes. So just a moment of quiet. Before we begin in this auspicious evening for International Bhikkhuni Day. Welcome to all friends, all venerable. As we're here this evening, the full moon is rising. I heard this morning that it is not only a full moon, but a super moon, and that there will be a partial lunar eclipse during the time of our program this evening. So we'll take that as an especially auspicious sign. This full moon is in Pali, this is marking the month of Bhadrapada or Bhaddapada. And this full moon is known as the lunar anniversary of the founding of the Bhikkhuni Sangha, 2,608 years ago. This was the day when our founding mother, Mahapajapati Gautami Teri, she's in the photo, in the picture here, when she went to the Buddha and successfully requested the Bhikkhuni ordination, marking the founding of the Bhikkhuni order. So we remember and commemorate this date. This is a day, it's come to be International Bhikkhuni Day. This is the 14th annual International Bhikkhuni Day, which is founded as a time of education and advocacy regarding the Bhikkhuni Sangha. And so it's a time to look both at the history of the great Bhikkhunis of past, at the successes and challenges of the Bhikkhunis of the present, and also to look forward towards Bhikkhunis of the future. So this evening, our program will include a little bit about the past, a little bit about the present, and a little bit about the future, knowing that they're all connected through causes and conditions, that we have inherited this Sangha, this monastic form from the past, and we're living it now, and it's up to us to pass it on to the future. So the first couple parts of our program before we get into the Bhikkhuni panel discussion, we have a special guest with us today, Deepak Anand, who will give us a brief presentation about, I'll come back to his longer bio in just a moment. He's going to give us a presentation about a current initiative in India, recognizing the history of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. And then we will also I will be presenting about a calendar of commemorative dates related to Bhikkhunis. So these are two sort of initiatives that are looking to the past, but bringing them into the present, and making that past accessible to us here today. So with that, I will introduce Deepak Anand. Let me spotlight you here. There we go. Okay, so Deepak Anand is a researcher from Navanalanda Mahavihara University in Bihar, India. He is a part of Bodhacharika, a Living Heritage, which is a project focused on revitalization of the very significant but lesser known pilgrimage sites related to the sublime wanderings of the Buddha in India, as well as the Retracing Bodhisattva Xuanzang project, which led him to walk many hundreds of miles on foot through India, following the footsteps of the great 7th century Chinese monk and scholar Xuanzang, who himself traveled over 10,000 miles from China to India and back, documenting the sites associated with the Buddha's wanderings in India, and to whom we all owe a great debt of gratitude for recording the locations and traditions surrounding these sites, which would otherwise almost certainly have been lost to history. So I had the good fortune to meet Deepak first in 2018 when I traveled with Ayatollah to India in search of sites associated with the Bhikkhuni Sangha heritage there. Deepak served as our guide on that trip, and we benefited greatly from the depth of his knowledge about these ancient sites. So today, very happy that he agreed to accept our invitation to speak about his work related to Bhikkhuni sites in India, especially his work with Buddhacharika on the reintroduction and revitalization of the Mahapajapati Gotami Great Renunciation Trail. So this is especially for today. We commemorate the anniversary of Mahapajapati and her courageous 500 women companions arriving at the end of their 200-mile walk, meeting the Buddha, and successfully requesting the Bhikkhuni ordination, establishing the Bhikkhuni Sangha, again, 2,608 years ago, under the same Bhadrapada full moon. So welcome, Deepak. I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Venerable. And happy International Bhikkhunis Day. And I guess today is also Venerable Tathaloka's birthday. So greetings to her as well. May
Yes.
she get very well. So thanks for this wonderful introduction, Venerable. So as you said, many people may not be aware that Buddhism in India, it came to ebb, like, it declined after 10th, 11th century because there was a change in political climate. So the new political climate in India in the 10th, 11th century, it was not conducive for Buddhist monasteries and pilgrimage. So everything was lost. And it was until 18th, 19th century when this colonial rulers of India, Britishers, when they started reading the ancient text, they realized that Buddhism has got Indian roots. It originated in India in the Gangetic Plains. And in 19th century, the travel accounts of the 7th century monk scholar Xuanzang, who came all the way from Xi'an to Nalanda to study here, to study Yogchara Bhumi Sastra. So when he went back to China, so he wrote a very detailed travel accounts where he mentioned about all the sites related to Buddha and his important disciples. So this is how we know. So this is this is the map of Xuanzang traveling in the Gangetic Plains. So all these places are ancient kingdom that we read in Buddhist texts. So this is Kuru, this is Panchala, this is Koshala, Vamsa, this is Magadha, and this is Vajji. So this is where Buddha made his wandering. This is where Buddha made his wandering. And this is the route of Xuanzang. This is how Xuanzang traveled, connecting all these places, all this faint line, And so following the Xuanzang trail, I did a foot journey in 2020. And this green line is my trail, So this is how, so uh, according to Xuanzang and according to Buddhist literature, we know that Mahapajapati Gautami, see, this is Kapilavastu and this is Vaishali. So we know that in the 5th year of Buddha's, after Buddha's enlightenment, Mahapajapati Gautami also, she also left home along with 500 other Shakyan women. So this is the trail of Mahapajapati Gautami. So this is our best understanding. This is our best understanding about how Mahapajapati Gautami and 500 Shakyans, they traveled. So this is the story of, I guess everybody's aware of this story that Mahapajapati Gautami went to meet Buddha when he was there in Kapilavastu and requested for ordination. But then Buddha was, he didn't say anything. And then after that, when Buddha left Kapilavastu for Vaishali, so all this women who were interested, who were who had made a resolution that they would be taking renunciation, becoming nuns. So they organized themselves and they followed Buddha. They followed the same trail, and they met Buddha at Vaishali. So this is the trail, this is the trail. This is 300-kilometer trail. So I walked this trail in 2021, and so this connects some very important ancient Buddhist sites. This is like 300-kilometer trail. So it starts from here and then it goes to Ramagrama, from here to Anupiya, that is present-day Valmiki Nagar in Bihar. And then these are all Ashokan pillar and Ashokan stupa sites. And this trail runs parallel to Gandak River, which is ancient times it was known as Anuma. And presently in India, we call it Gandak. In Nepal, they call it Narayani. Sometimes Narayani and sometimes Gandaki also. So, uh, so this is a very beautiful trail, and basically it was all forest. Just just 100 years ago, it was all forest. So in recent times, they have all finished the forest and they have made it a land suitable for cultivation. So idea is when I was walking this trail, I realized this must be a very difficult journey for 500 women for of different age group, and carrying all the provisions, and that too they took this journey in the month of September, August, September. I mean, in the same time, I mean, in this month only. So it's a very difficult month according to Indian climate, because this is a raining season, monsoon month. So it's every now and then it's raining, and it's very difficult to walk because everywhere it's muddy and water and river, and I mean, it's very difficult. And moreover, it's this was a very forested land full of wild animals. Still, yesterday there was a news from this area that a tiger has attacked a guy and he has died. So this at that time there were so many tigers, elephants, and all wild animals. So that's why, I mean, I have got so much of respect for this great journey, this great renunciation journey which this 500 women they made some 2500 years ago. So idea is to revitalize this trail. So this is my picture from this walk. He's my walking partner from Nepal. So this is a picture from Ramagrama. This is where Buddha's body relics are there in this stupa. So you can see in the background this stupa remains. So basically, we know that I won't go in details of how do we know that this is the trail. But I mean, I have made multiple presentations on this. You can find this on net, on even Dhammadharni's stock videos. So basically, this is the Gandak River. This is where Buddha, he cut his hair, and he asked the Kanthaka and his charioteer Chandaka to return back. So all this event happened here on the eastern bank of Anoma River, Gandaki. So this is the place. So at this place there are lots of ancient remains, many stupa remains here. So it's all in forest. So it's still unexcavated, undocumented. And this is people in Nepal, they have, based on their research, they have found that this is the Anuma Ghat, the place where, this was the place where Buddha's horse, it took a leap, according to Buddhist literature. So it is here, this side. It's in Nepal, here. So this is Gandak River. So as in Buddhist literature, it's mentioned that it was all big sandy river. So this is the big proof that because this is the only river in this trail from Kapilavastu to Vaishali which has got so much of sand, and this is the biggest proof that this event happened here in Valmiki Nagar of Bihar. And this whole trail is full of ancient remains. You will find all big stupas, Kesaria, Nandangarh, and this is Ariraj Ashokan pillar. So this is also this is also this is a big proof that this was an ancient trail which monks and nuns would walk. I mean, because this was the trail walked by Buddha. This was originally it was a trade route. So Buddha and Sangha would follow the trade route only. So this is an ancient trail route. This is ancient trade route, and this trade route has got many monastic and architectural remain Buddhist. So these are very huge stupas on this trail. So coming to Vaishali, so Vaishali is now this has all become ancient mound. So this is the projection of Xuanzang's account in Vaishali. So based on Xuanzang's account, we know this is Ashokan pillar site where this monkey, he offered honey to Buddha. So it's called, and he dug this earth for taking water to Buddha after offering the honey. So this is the site, and it was discovered on the basis of Xuanzang's account. It was all like, it transformed into mound, but when, according to Xuanzang's account, when excavation was done, so they discovered this stupa. It was all buried, and this tank was also buried. So this is a picture from excavations. So this is how, based on Xuanzang's account, this site was rediscovered. So this is Ashokan pillar site that we just saw. So this is all, it was discovered on the basis of Xuanzang's account. So this so there are many sites which are like, Xuanzang says, but I mean, people have not excavated those sites. Indian government has excavated only 3 sites. So this 3 sites have been excavated. This is the relic stupa, and this is the Ashokan pillar site. So this is the area where, according to Xuanzang, he saw a stupa to mark the parinibbana of Mahaprajapati Gautami. And this was also the place, according to Xuanzang, where Amrapali, her house was there. So it seems that Mahaprajapati Gautami and this nunnery was in the village of Amrapali, maybe in the very close vicinity, or maybe in the village itself. So this place, because now presently this village, place has got village settled on it, so there was no excavations ever took place. So, but the idea is that we should because maybe this place would never be excavated, because there is a village living on the mound. So it's very difficult for government to remove the village and then excavate. And even after excavating, we may not find the exact stupa, because Xuanzang mentions many stupa. So we cannot exactly say which is the stupa to mark Mahaprajapati Gautami's parinibbana. And also, all the stupa has been damaged. Like, they have removed the break. So we may not find the actually tangible remains of the stupa. So this is the relic stupa, which was discovered in Vaishali based on Xuanzang's account. So it was a very humble mound. I mean, like, very unlikely of mound. So, but since Xuanzang's description was there, so people just took a chance. They thought, let's see, I mean, if it is the same stupa which Xuanzang has mentioned. And so when they excavated this small mound, very, very very small mound, you can see it's very small, like, hardly 3 or 4 feet high. So when they dug it, so they found this relic casket inside here. And this casket is from 5th, 6th century. So it's Buddha's body relic here. This casket is, it was it is the Vaji's share of Buddha's body relic. So it was discovered on the basis of Xuanzang. I'm saying this because, Xuanzang's accounts are very credible. So if we have discovered all the places, this is the projection of Xuanzang in Vaishali area. So this is the body relic stupa, which Xuanzang says it's here. So they discovered on the basis of that. So this is the palace city, which Xuanzang says it is discovered on the basis of Xuanzang's account. This is Ashokan pillar site. So they have excavated these 3 sites, but they have not excavated all other descriptions of Xuanzang, because at all these places there are villages there. So, but I mean, our idea is that we should not wait for excavation, and we should start revitalizing all this place, because stupas and all this memorials, I mean, it's it comes and goes. I mean, it's because nothing is permanent. But the sanctity of this place is eternal. It's very important for the followers of the teachings of the Buddha and Mahaprajapati Gautami. So our idea is to revitalize this place. And this is the mound here. This is one of a prominent mound in this area. So this could be, I mean, this is also a stupa mound, but we exactly cannot say that this is the stupa of Mahaprajapati Gautami, but this is one of the prominent mound which is left untouched. Otherwise, other mounds in this area, they have destroyed. Villagers have, I mean, they were not, they were ignorant about the significance of the place. It was only in 2010 when, I mean, based on our research, when we reached this village, when we arrived at this village and we shared with the people that this is the area where Mahaprajapati Gautami, Amrapali, and Vimla Kirti, they were living here, and they were stupas to mark their activities in this area. So villagers, then they started sharing that there were many such mounds here, and they were ignorant about the significance, and they have destroyed because they wanted to, I mean, make those land good for their own agricultural needs. So now we are trying to promote this place, and this is the area where, just adjacent to this area, this should be the area where ordination took place, Mahaprajapati Gautami and 500 nuns, because according to Xuanzang, this is the area where this double galleried vihara, where Kutagrshala. So this is the area according to Shwenzan projection. This should be the area. So, but again, this whole area has village here. So ancient remains are all buried. If they are, I mean, like it's a difficult to, like what do you say, excavate it and bring it back. But now we are trying to revitalize this area. So, and in I shared this information with the audience. I mean, like we made a presentation on this, and now since 2022, many people have started visiting this place, especially nuns and lay followers. They have started visiting this place. So you will find many pictures of devotees visiting this place in last 2-3 years. And recently, Navnalanda Mahavihar, last year, they celebrated the first Mahaprajapati Gautami Theri Parinibbana Day. So I would share some pictures with you. So this is how, like, villagers and nuns and nuns from Navnalanda Mahavihar, and there's a local nunnery there, Vietnamese nunnery. So nuns from that monastery. So, and this local school children, all of us, we gathered and we celebrated this Mahaprajapati Gautami Parinibbana Day. And this is the mound. So symbolically, we cannot say exactly this is the exact stupa mound, but I mean, it's somewhere close, like maybe 10 meters here, 20 meters here. I mean, it's in the same vicinity. So just symbolically, all of us gathered here and we worship this place. And I mean, this whole area is now flooded. Like, I mean, it's like very low-lying area, because at some point of time, some 1,000 years ago, or maybe 500 years ago, this Gandaki River, this Anoma River, it changed its course and it was flowing past this area. So this area is very low-lying area, but you can see this mound, it's very prominent. I mean, maybe it's like, stupa mound or something. So, but you will find lots of ancient remains in this area. You will all pottery and like, antiquities. You will find many antiquities and pottery in this area. It is all this finds is a big proof that there was some activities, monastic activities happening here 1,500 years ago, 2,000 years ago. So this is the group picture of the site from the day. And you can see many villages also here participating in this event. And this is now an annual event which Navnalanda Mahavir would be celebrating. Our idea is that, I mean, we want to request Government of Bihar and Government of India to recognize this place and this day. And we should, Government of Bihar has recognized the Parinibbana day of Sariputta and Moglana, the prominent disciple of the Buddha. So now Kartik Purnima, the day when Sariputta attained Parinibbana, so it is now a state day. So Government of Bihar, it observes this day and Parinibbana day of Moglana also. So now we are requesting Government of Bihar to observe this Mahaparinibbana day of this great Bhikkhuni who led this great movement of Bhikkhuni Sangha. So maybe in coming few years, because we are trying, so something will happen. And we also plan to, this is the whole area and this is the mound. I mean, this whole area has got ancient remains. So now we plan to develop some memorial here. I mean, we are requesting government to demarcate some land here so that we can have some memorial, some tangible memorial for this extraordinary event, a great renunciation trail, and this trail and this Parinibbana place also. So let's see, we are hopeful that in coming few years, we will have a memorial here at this place. And we are also planning to install an image of Mahaprajapati Gautami Parinibbana. So we are in touch with some institutions who are willing to support this. So hopefully in coming 1 or 2 years, we will have something here. Yeah, so this was all. Thanks, Bhikkhuni, for this opportunity. If anybody has some questions.
Okay, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Jana. Appreciate that. It's really beautiful to see these photos. And yes. Yes, I guess there's time for a couple brief questions, if there's any questions. Or we could.
I can see Marla here. So, I mean, she was there also with the group.
Yes,
Some wonderful pictures. They went through a boat and all those. This was a wonderful efforts he made. So yeah, this all small efforts, it will someday give good results. Let's hope.
Mhm. Yes, I see a question from Sheila. Oh, and also Ayananda Bodhi.
Good evening, and thank you, Anand. I'm wondering, is the best way to support redevelopment by lay followers visiting the area?
Yeah, that's
Thank
true.
you.
That's true. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Ayananda Bodhi, please.
Thank you so much. This is very inspiring to see what you've done and that you're sharing this information with us. And I want to ask about the pilgrimages. So are you organizing annual pilgrimage, or how does that work? So if someone were to wish to organize a pilgrimage with you, how would they do that?
Just inform me the dates and I will block those dates because I don't organize it myself because I'm busy these days writing book on my this walk. So, but if anybody approaches me, so I block those dates and I take people around. So that's my livelihood.
I see. And how would we approach you?
Pardon?
How would we get in touch with you?
You can have my email address or like my phone number. I mean, Venerable has that. Pathalakwa has got. I mean, I can send it to you.
Okay, thank you so much. It's very, very inspiring, uplifting.
Yes. Hey, thank you very much, Deepak. It's always good to hear the developments and to see these lovely photos and to see this coming along. So we'll look forward to more in the future.
Yeah, thank you, Venerable, and thanks to Venerable Tathaloka. She has been very inspiring and providing all kind of support. So thanks to her also. I hope she gets well soon.
Sadhu, yes, sharing all our blessings with her from this evening. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Let me go on to our next portion of this program. So, so Deepak has just shared with us something about especially about the Great Renunciation Trail, relevant to this special day today. But just as there are many different sites in India that are relevant to the Bhikkhunis, worthy of commemoration, we also have many dates that are relevant to the Bhikkhunis, worthy of commemoration. And I know some of you, if you're following Ayatollah on Facebook, you're probably seeing her announcing these dates as they come up time by time. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot, it's hard to keep track of even how many dates we have worthy of celebration related to Bhikkhunis. So this year, for the first time, Ayatollah student, my colleague Venerable Tavira Bhikkhuni, has gathered all those dates into one place, and she has created a very beautiful calendar commemorating them. So Venerable Tavira is not able to be here this evening herself due to illness, but she's given her blessings for us to go ahead with presenting her work. So I'm gonna, just a moment, I'll put this on the screen. Okay. So you should be able to see here this beautiful calendar of the Bhikkhuni Sangha lunar calendar commemorative dates. And this was, so let me tell you a little bit about the inspiration. Some words from Venerable Tavira. She said her inspiration for this is that, important dates for the bhikkhus and bhikkhu sangha are known. They're regularly shared and commemorated in Theravada Buddhism. And it's nice to share these dates for Bhikkhunis and Bhikkhuni Sangha too, as we learn about them. So she thought to make the Bhikkhuni calendar pretty so that it can be available, people can print it out, they can hang it on their wall, they can share it. So this will be made it digital. Anybody can take the content and use it this year or in future years, however they like. And yeah, just to make this information more easily accessible and attractive. So Venerable Tavira drew most of this by hand. And the digital artistry used just to replicate the pattern for each month and adding in the digital text. And so also I want to share a few words from Ayatoloka about this project. She says, I have a lot of respect for what has been passed down from early Buddhism. Parts of that are widely known and shared and commemorated in Theravada Buddhism by the Bhikkhu Sangha and in the greater Theravada Buddhist communities, and parts are there in the early texts and traditions. But there has been a tendency among Theravada Bhikkhu teachers, I'm not sure for how long, to more focus on the stories of the great bhikkhus, and for women in Buddhism, often to focus primarily on the great leading Upasika, Visakha. I've asked bhikkhu teachers about this tendency time by time, and they've replied sincerely that they do not want to tell these other stories, because they do not want to encourage women in that way, because the Bhikkhuni Sangha has lapsed, so they feel it would just cause grief, frustration, and heartbreak, and be pointless to be encouraging women and the Sangha with the inspiring stories of the ancient Bhikkhunis. So, in their mind, encouraging women to be like Visakha and be excellent in supporting the Bhikkhu Sangha with ample and well-considered requisites is the best. I've experienced firsthand for myself the encouragement that there is to hear the ancient great Bhikkhuni stories taught. On one retreat, led by a senior Thai Ajahn, not long before the founding of Dhammadharini, he repeatedly told stories of the great Bhikkhuni Arahants. The other retreatants noticed and said, wow, he is really encouraging you and us. I would like to comment, though, that in general, these stories have been far more told in Theravada Buddhism in its home countries and home contexts than in the international teaching contexts. This has made for an especial and surprising dearth of knowledge about the ancient bhikkhunis and women in Buddhism in the Western Buddhist context, our context. So all the dates on this bhikkhuni calendar have been known for a long time. There's nothing new or made up here. They've all been passed down in ancient Buddhist texts, manuscripts, and the ancient and living Theravada Buddhist traditions of South and Southeast Asia. The only thing that is new is to gather them together and offer them as dana in such an accessible way. This is a great gift. She says, I very much appreciate Venerable Bhikkhuni Tavira for her kind and caring efforts in doing so. I know she doesn't want to gain any fame for this, and that she shares with me at heart in simply wanting to liberate this information. Ancient Buddhists, including the Buddha, knew the power of the word of the Buddha and the power of the vision and the hearing of the Arahants. This is the reason. This is what this is for. Truly, rightly, it is said, Nibbana pachayo hotu. May this be cause and condition for the realization of Nibbana. So let me zoom in a little bit, just show you what's here. So we start here with the full moon, the Chitta full moon of April. That's the new year. Going on, Vesak season. You can see each moon as it comes. Here at the Jeta full moon in June, we have the anniversary of great bhikkhunis from Sri Lanka, Anula Teri, and her 500 companions, their stream entry day on June 22nd this year. Of course, this is the lunar anniversary. On the solar calendar, this will change year by year, so we'll have to redo the calendar each year. Asala full moon, Dhamma day, beginning of Vasa, Savana full moon in August. And then coming down to where we are here, unfortunately upside down, but you can see here, we're at the Bhadrapada full moon. So today, September 17th, is the Bhikkhuni Sangha founding anniversary. And then 1 week from today is Mahapajapati Arahantship Day. So she got ordained on this day, and then 1 week later had her full awakening. So that's pretty good. We rejoice in that, and we can celebrate her arahantship next week if we like to. October 10th then is the date of Sanghamita Teri's Parinibbana in Sri Lanka. Coming through the Katina season. In December, there's a number of dates related to Sanghamita Teri and Anula Teri, also from Sri Lanka. Coming around again, Lunar New Year, February. So in February, we have Bhadrapada Purnima Day. This was the day celebrated that Deepak was just showing the photos of, that they're wishing to establish as a state holiday in Bihar, India. And then March 13th, coming up in 2025, will be Mahapajapati Stream Entry Day, Yashodhara Terry Stream Entry Day, and also Yashodhara Terry Parinibbana Day. So just to give you a sense of this and the beautiful artwork here also. So this is for all of us to be able to remember, to be able to celebrate and rejoice. And this calendar, should let you know, this is actually only page 1. There's details here of the dates in full. And we won't go through all of them now, but this will be made available shortly. And I can send a link to, I guess, our group or everyone who's registered for this if they'd like to after the fact. So anyway, celebrating that and really appreciating Venerable Tavira's beautiful, dedicated work with this, and wishing that this may be of blessing and benefit to our Bhikkhuni Sangha and to all of us going forward. And so then, moving on, these are things bringing us from the past, bringing the past into the future for our inspiration and knowledge now. And our next part of this program is a panel discussion among our Bhikkhunis present here today. So the theme of this panel is welcoming the next generation of Bhikkhunis. And inspiration for this came from discussion amongst our Bhikkhunis at Aranya Bodhi about what we would like to share and discuss for this day. It was actually Venerable Vandana who brought it up. She was mentioning that there are young girls in India asking her about ordination. And her question is, what can she say to them? What is it that we can do to support them, to inspire them, and to let them go ahead? So we have here 4 Bhikkhunis who will be on our panel. Let me get them on the screen here. Ananda Bodhi is here. Okay. Ayamarajina is here. And Santachita is here. And also Venerable Vandana next to me is going to be one of our panelists. So let me introduce all of these panelists. So Ayananda Bodhi, taken her. So she was born and raised in Wales. She first encountered the Buddhist teaching in her early teens while reading about the Four Noble Truths. This was life-changing, and from that moment she experienced a deep confidence in the Buddha's insight and a wish to understand his teachings more deeply. At the age of 24, I began monastic training at Amaravati Buddhist Monastery in England under the guidance of Ajahn Sumedho. 17 years later, she moved to the USA with a wish to create more opportunities for women monastics. In 2011, she took full Bhikkhuni ordination, joining the worldwide revival of the Theravada Bhikkhuni order. She and Ayasantachita together led the Aloka Vihara monastic community from its founding in 2009 up until 2022. And now, after some well-deserved sabbatical time, she is leading up at the new Parayana Vihara in Port Townsend, Washington. So happy to see her online, and welcome Aye. We also have here Ayasantachita at the Aloka Earth Room currently. Ayasantachita was born in Austria, did her graduate studies in cultural anthropology, focusing on dance, theater, and ritual. She also worked in avant-garde dance theater as a performer and costume designer. In 1988, she met Ajahn Buddhadasa in southern Thailand, which sparked her interest in Buddhist monastic life. She trained as a nun in England and Asia from 1993 until 2009, primarily in the lineage of Ajahn Chah. Since 2002, she has also received teachings in the lineage of Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. Ayya Santachita co-founded Aloka Vihara in 2009, received Bhikkhuni ordination in 2011. She is committed to Gaia as a living being and resides at the Aloka Earth Room, currently located in San Rafael, California. So just down the road from us at Dhammadharini. So we've been very happy to be seeing her more frequently these days and seeing her this evening. Welcome, welcome, Ayya. Ayya Maharajina, ordained in 2012 at Aranya Bodhi Hermitage in California with Pavatini Upajaya Ayataloka, Venerable Tataloka Mahateri. She spent the past 12 years studying the mind through the Tipitaka, practicing both jhana and vipassana. Her goal is to gain insight into an incapacitating bipolar diagnosis and to attain relief through understanding. She is now spreading the Dhamma to guide her students to an understanding of the three characteristics and the five khandhas by way of the Satipatthana, sprinkled with the Brahma Viharas for a pleasant abiding, establishing them in the ultimate safety of the Blessed One's dispensation. She is Cuban American, fluent in Spanish and English, currently teaching in Cuba and Florida, and residing at Bhava Nirodha Nilaya in Florida. Venerable Bhikkhuni Vandana, next to me here, was born in Gujarat, India, but now lives and works on Dhamma in Nagpur, Maharashtra, India. She ordained as a samaneri in 2005 at the age of 7. Her grandmother is Bhikkhuni Supriya Terry, who used to teach Venerable Vandana when she was very young. Venerable Vandana received higher ordination in November of 2022 in Bodh Gaya, India, with her Bhikkhuni preceptor Bhikkhuni Santini from Indonesia and Bhikkhu preceptor Bhante Pelawate Siwali Mahatera. She is currently visiting the United States, staying at Dhammadharini Monastery and Aranya Bodhi Hermitage for the Vasa to practice and learn Dhamma with Ayataloka. She'll be staying with Dhammadharini through the 2024 Vasa and maybe coming back someday too, we hope. But she only has 6 months on her visa in the country, so just Vasa for now. Anyway, welcome to all venerables. So again, our topic this evening is welcoming the next generation of Bhikkhunis. And I believe that all of you are in one way or another already sort of engaging with the next generation in various ways. And so then I'd like to hear from each of you. First, just how are you engaging? Like what is your connection? What are you working on with the next generation? And then our questions were, let me come back specifically, what is it? So what are you doing now? And then what do you want to share for the next generation? What do you want to say to the next generation? What do you wish for them? So starting with what you're doing and then going on to those questions about what to share. May I invite Ayananda Bodhi? Would you like to begin?
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess when I was thinking of the questions more collectively than personally, I must say. And I was thinking from the Western perspective, even though that's, obviously the Bhikkhuni Sangha is growing and developing in all over the world, actually, many countries, despite many obstacles. So what came to my mind was, it's first of all just to recognize that it's a slow process and slower than I expected, actually, when I took Upasampada myself. It's almost as though we are creating ground for the Bhikkhuni Sangha to grow. So it's like, just to use the analogy of earth, to grow a good garden, you need fertile ground, and for so many hundreds of years, the Bhikkhuni Sangha has not been able to arise in the world, and women have gone forth and taken on many different renunciant forms in different parts of the world. So it's like the wish for women to go forth and live as renunciants has been ongoing over these 2,600 years and probably longer. And but for bhikkhunis, the ground has been barren for a long time. So it feels to me as though we are at this time revitalizing the ground that the bhikkhunis can come into and benefit from and hopefully flourish in and gain insight and freedom. And that's a slow process. So what I see happening is creating places where women can train and practice, where there is and a variety of places, so that, just as the bhikkhus, they have many different possibilities. Well, we don't have many, but we have a few where women can come and train and practice. And also our own practice as bhikkhunis, as more elder bhikkhunis, is really essential, that we have something to share on a level of practice and insight. And also educating the community how they can support the Bhikkhuni Sangha, so that when there are places, that those places get support, that we have requisites to offer and to share with others, and also experience in our own monastic training. So I'll just put that in for now, and then I'll see what others have to say, so I don't want to speak too long.
Okay, thank you, IA. Yes, that seems like a fairly comprehensive answer, actually, about the supportive conditions. So, appreciation. Yes. Santajita, may I invite you? What are the ways that you yourself are engaging with the next generation, and what do you wish for? What do you want to say to them?
So I think first of all, I want to say I agree with Ananda Bodhi said. It's taking all so much longer than what I originally felt, it would take. When I received Bhikkhuni ordination in 2011, and I've been living in community for over 30 years, starting in 92 in Amaravati in England and Chithurst, and then coming over here to America in a Lokavihara, in the Lokavihara Forest Monastery. And just about less than 2 years ago, I have decided to step outside community for some time and just really focus on my own development. And I'm still in that for a little bit longer, because to be able to offer something, it's also really important to take time to nourish one's own being, really. And that has been a priority for me now for some time, and like slowly I feel a sense of wanting to come back into some kind of community. So I've started to investigate possibilities, and there isn't many out there at this point for bhikkhunis, and as Ananda Bodhi also was saying, and and then seeing myself and what I can contribute is just like a little tiny bit, in the mix, and being content with that and no longer trying to make anything in particular happen. I think that's what I am with at this point. And at the same time, I do feel touched, when I see young women wanting to take this training and already are ordained. For example, like when Vandana, when I met her a few weeks ago at Dhammadharini, I was very touched, by her presence, how she is a bhikkhuni. And I was thinking, I would be so happy if I would be able to offer something, some support. And you're being able to share what I have learned over those many years, And I'm, as I said before, starting to think how I could support the younger generation now as I myself becoming slowly but surely an elder. And it's an ongoing investigation. And for now, that's all I can say. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Yes. So yes, both of you pointing to the importance of development among those who are the elders, that there is then something to offer. It's an important point, and also glad that you're feeling inspired to be able to offer that. That's also good news for the rest of us. So thank you. I invite Ayamarachina. Tell us, how are you engaging with the next generations, and what would you like to share with them?
Well, first of all, I'm very, very grateful to be here. And I sort of have a different, like usual, a different perspective, having come back into kind of a virtual community for myself, because I'm alone, not alone. I'm alone, not alone, caring for my mother in Florida. But when I visited Dhammadharini these past couple of times, I have just been in awe at how nice it is to have, walls and ceiling and central air and heat and plumbing, lots of very nice necessities for bhikkhunis. So I've thought it was going along quite well, and faster than what I thought. But I wanted to, Ayasantachita mentioned something about wanting to share. And I saw our Dhammadharini program on Sunday, where some of the women present were talking about the first time they saw Bhikkhuni. And of course, I do remember the very first time I saw Bhikkhuni, Ayattataloka, sitting in her chair in the Fremont house. But what I remember more strikingly is the first time I was in the presence of a Bhikkhuni Sangha, October 2010, and that first ordination in North America. And it was, I feel it viscerally still, that contentment that was in the air, that was very palpable, and just feeling like it was a family reunion, but no family reunion that I had ever observed or experienced before. It was just the most wonderful and uplifting experience to be in that area. And now looking back, I wish that those bhikkhunis, those Terries at the time, had shared not just that contentment and that aura of tranquility and, having seen what I had not seen, but the trials, the hardship, the rejection, the brutality of some of this path for bhikkhunis. It's not always a pretty thing. It's not always a very uplifting thing. And I wish that my mothers had shared that instead of the pomp and the celebration. I right now working in Cuba, and there's no Theravada anything there right now except for, very dedicated practitioners, and one who has gone forth from the house life as an anagarika now and waiting to go to a monastery for training. But I don't hide the hardship. I think that's a necessary part of our education for the next generation, is not just this is the path to nibbana. We're on the quick route. We're on the highway. But it's not the 4-lane, straight toll-free lane. It's it's still under construction. and I mean, it's worthwhile, and I've spent a long time working because I know there's nothing better that can be offered anywhere. But I mean, don't sell the farm. Just it's a gradual process that, especially for bhikkhunis, that we need to balance this high aspiration with the rough, the coarse, raw reality. So, but go for it.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's certainly true. It is under construction, and there are some bumps in the road. And I do think that some honesty and clarity about that is probably a necessary part for anyone who does wish to join this path. So also, so I think we're in agreement that the destination is a good one. So I'm gonna give Venerable Vandana a chance to speak, and then after that, I'm gonna open it up to conversation among all of you. If you have any questions for each other, you can, or comments or anything. But we'll give Venerable Vandana a chance. What are you doing with the younger generation, and how are you engaging, and what do you want to share with them? What do you hope for them?
First of all, I would like to thank you, Ayata Taloka, because this is something I really concern about for new generation. And I think this is really important for me also, because I see whenever I go into the Sangha, I only see not senior in the like ordination, but in the senior in the age. So sometimes it's like I can't open up because I feel like we have some generation gap, and I have like, what if I say something and that person will not understand what I'm trying to say or what I'm going through? So what I'm thinking, like, if I have someone same as my age, so I'll be very comfortable to talk and to discuss about Dhamma, that what difficulties I'm having to practice and what I want to overcome. So like I'm not engaging with so many people, but wherever I go and people say, oh, you're so young, and not only young people, but old people comes to me and they ask, how did you come into monastic life at this very young age? And how did you stay in this monastic life? Because it's really difficult, because you have to leave everything behind, whatever you like, and you have to do what you don't like. So it's like we try to tell our kids to go to temple and practice, but they don't listen because they feel it's boring to listen to the Dhamma, and they say, oh, this is not our age to practice Dhamma or something. When we will be at your age, we'll be old enough, and we have nothing to do. Maybe then we will go to the temple and maybe we'll practice then. So, and the young generation, like young people, they come to me and they ask like how to have peace. So this is really because this generation is really fast forward, and they want everything fast, and they just ask questions like how can you live without your phone? How can you stay so calm? How can you practice meditation? Like so many questions. And they want to come into monastic life, but there are lack of like inspiration, I feel. And like Ayana Moli mentioned about the training and proper guidance to them. I think there's a lack of that. That's why they have wish to enter in the monastic life, but they don't see any proper guidance or a proper place to stay. So there's many girls in India who want to ordain, but their first question is like where we will stay, who will teach us, and everyone knows about India. So first thing it come about the safety of the girls. So what about that? So there is so many question when it comes about female monastics. So I think this is the all questions that we need to solve if we need a new generation of the Bhikkhunis in India or in any country. So I don't know how we can solve it, but I hope that one day we can solve it, because we are Sangha, and definitely if we work together, we can do anything to support our Sangha.
Yes, thank you for that perspective. And yes, I think, we were talking about this with our group about the idea that people are only ordaining late in life, and not seeing other examples of young people. But I just wanted to note for Dhammadharini, we actually keep track of how many people are contacting us to ask about monastic life, and when possible, what their ages are. And for 2023, about 30% were in between ages 18 and 35. So it's not just the elders who are coming. There are young people, like also coming to Venerable Vandana, who are interested, and but they do have these questions. And so then this is part of ideas like what do we say to them when they ask these questions? Where will we live? Who will teach us? How will we be supported? So wanting to bring that to this group here, knowing that there is interest, and that people are looking for peace and have some clue that monastic life might be the way, but needing to have clarity about that and support for that. So I'd like to, now that we've heard from each of you, I want to see, any of you have questions for each other or comments on what's been said? Ananda Bodhi, yes, please.
Yes, I would like to ask you, Ayavandana, how old are you?
I'm 25.
Oh, 25. And how old were you when you took Upasampada? Sorry, I didn't track.
I took Upasampada in 2022, so probably I was like 23.
Okay. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
But Samaneri since age 7. So
It's been very inspiring.
Thanks to my grandmother.
Wonderful. And could you tell us a bit about the situation for bhikkhunis? I understand what you're saying about the danger, in Indian society for the women. But can you say a little bit about the situation for the Bhikkhuni Sangha, how it is presently in India? Theravada.
I think we have lots of Bhikkhuni, more than I think 200 or 300, but we don't have any institute like a training center or a proper place where they can learn about Dhamma or they can get trained. So like there's no one to guide them like how to practice and how to be a good monastic. So I think we really need that in the India to make a proper Sangha. And to put an example, like what the Mahapajapati Gautami did in the ancient time, like still now we remember her. Because of her, we have a Bhikkhuni Sangha. So I think if the Bhikkhuni Sangha present in India now, if they get proper knowledge of the Dhamma, so they can also set a good example for the people who want to ordain and who have doubt about the women's to live spiritual life. So people will not doubt about it anymore.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we're getting questions from the those joining now. Yes, I think we can open to questions. Karuna, please go ahead.
Hello, Venerables. This is a question for any of the monastic Sangha. If you had any words or guidance to share with those of us who are aspiring to going forth, but might be approaching an age limit.
Yes. So indeed, there are age limits in various places. Not all monasteries have them. Dhammadharini, for instance, does not. So we're happy to talk with older candidates also. But welcoming others, other thoughts about this? Yes, Amarajina. I think you're muted.
Now? So
Now, great.
okay, I was unmuted and I muted myself. There's a few things that I would recommend, if possible, to visit different places. I'm not sure if you're in the United States, but there are also some monasteries in Europe and Spain, I believe. But just different places, because we're not all the same, and our level of comfort should not be overlooked, because we also need to take care of our bodies as we work with our minds, mind and body, together. So there's different approaches to that. If you can visit different monasteries, and if you can, interact with the communities and with the teachers. It's even if the monastery is not what one expects, but there's a strong connection with a teacher, that's a very good sign. And in the Visuddhimagga, there's like 18 different advice or tips for finding the right monastery. I don't think we have 18 Bhikkhuni monasteries, but if you could read some of the traditional literature like the Visuddhimagga, they're in their Venerable Buddhaghosa's advice to find a suitable monastery, a suitable teacher. I mean, these are very core principles that would be very helpful. And I also haven't seen the age limit in our Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha. So that's a good thing.
All right, thank you. Yes, good advice. Relevant for any aspirant of any age is to go check it out. See how it is on the ground. I think as as noted, there are challenges. There are bumps in the road, things under construction. So good to sort of check it out and get the lay of the land and see what's there. I think that is good advice. Thank you. Any other questions from either from our panelists to each other or from those here for the panelists?
Yes, I appreciated Marigina, your just highlighting that it's a difficult path. It's not a highway. I actually had that as my main topic for the next question about what do we want to say to the next generation. And when I was thinking about your analogy of the highway, it's not like this really lovely highway; it's still under construction. And for me, it's more like we're walking on a ridgeway. We're not even anywhere near a highway. We're walking on a ridgeway, and there's a path that has been walked before, but not a lot. So, we're walking that path, and we're leaving little piles of stones here and there for others to know how to follow. But and sometimes sometimes the weather's difficult, and sometimes there are dangers along the way, and sometimes it's hard going, and sometimes we don't see others for a while. It's not there are not many others walking on the path, but we're not alone, and there is a path, and it does lead to the most precious and beautiful place, or no place. Yeah.
Yes, I guess I was sort of conflating my questions here, but yes, what do you want to say to the next generation? What's important for them to know as they're exploring this path? Sayonanda Bodhi has just shared that. Is there any more you'd like to share on that topic?
I mean, it's sort of the same thing, but it is not an easy life. I think that's really important. It isn't an easy life, and it's a blessed life, and it's amazing what one can experience through the practice when giving oneself to this life. But it isn't easy, and there are big obstacles on an institutional level in Buddhist world, and that's very difficult. It can be quite disheartening that one has this kind of a really beautiful inspiration and aspiration and dedication, renunciation, you're kind of giving yourself to this path, but being met with these institutional blocks from the patriarchy, really, from the bhikkhu, from not all of the Bhikkhu Sangha, fortunately, but from the institutions. So there is this sort of rejection of the Bhikkhuni order and denial of our existence and so on. Even in Sri Lanka, where there's so many thousands of Bhikkhunis in Sri Lanka, but they are still undermined really by these institutional obstacles and closed doors. And that's been going on for a very long time, and I look at some of our Bhikkhuni elders, like Venerable Dhammananda and other Bhikkhunis who were sort of pioneers, who are our generation before us, and they worked very hard to try and open those doors and to change things, and they're now old. Venerable Dhammananda's 80 now. And then it's like, okay, those doors are still closed, and who knows if and when they will open. And meanwhile, women go forth anyway. We keep going, but that is a very big and challenging obstacle. The institutional rejection or unwillingness to acknowledge the Bhikkhuni Sangha. So it's part of what we meet, And I think the you know, if there are challenges around, you know, not being super comfortable, or, you know, not having the best food in the world, that isn't really a big problem. You know, that can even be quite uplifting and exhilarating, having an ascetic edge. But it is that that institutional denial is quite hard to live under. Yeah, so we have to find, you know, we have to support each other, and also to keep on encouraging the lay community to, you know, don't forget about us, because sometimes I feel like the institutions are sort of hoping that we'll die out soon and it'll all be over and they'll be able to enjoy, you know, life without us. And no, here we are, you know, we've got young women ordaining as bhikkhunis. It's very important. So for the lay community also to not just become complacent, but to keep reminding and requesting and demanding from the institutions that things change, that the Bhikkhuni Sangha is acknowledged and given a place in the Buddhist world of Buddhist, you know, institution.
Thank you. Yes. Want to ask that same question to others. What would you like to say to somebody who's starting out on this path, exploring it, interested in it? Santachita, any thoughts?
I mean, also I would say, you know, going around to different places and seeing different flavors, you know, how this life can be lived, and then also I want to echo, you know, this very slow transformation, you know, that there is still, you know, I'm in this quote unquote nuns business, you know, since 93, and very little has changed on one level, you know, in terms of the reception in the institution itself. And I basically have turned my back on that in some way, you know. I have let that go because it's too boring, you know, to try to get some kind of a real conversation going, because there is no real interest, I think. And, you know, no longer trying to get a seat at the table, and finding other ways for myself, you know, to really feel a sense of depths of connection. And you know, I have over the last few years, you know, more looked into different ways of practicing, you know, which are not focused only, you know, on the ancient transmission, you know, which comes to us from Iron Age India. But I'm really more interested also to see, you know, what's happening now in our world, you know, increasing polarization, increasing pressure, increasing climate crisis, and, you know, no longer trying to to make something happen which is maybe not the right time. And if young or older people come to me, you know, who'd like to be nuns, I say, you know, do it only if you really need to do it, because it's a hard life, you know. And in some ways, you know, I was very lucky because I have had training in a very good monastery, but had to leave that monastery because they weren't open to bhikkhuni ordination. And because of those connections and the good training, I found always a way, you know, in terms of finding the support. But I'm not sure how easy that is for other people. So I generally say to be really careful and not only really do it if it's really a very, very strong calling, because then it will work out, you know. I have no doubt about that. And yeah, I think that's what I mainly want to say. And, you know, we are still living in patriarchy, even it's late stage patriarchy, I think, you know, and the drawbacks are seen more and more, but still, you know, the habits are strong and the conditioning is very deep. And I don't know, you know, how we could get the same support, you know, for female practitioners as male practitioners enjoy. And I don't see it's my sole responsibility to solve that problem. And so I do what I can, you know, to find a way forward for myself, you know, and whenever I can help somebody, I will do that. But as Ananda Bodhi said, you know, it turns out to be much more difficult than I originally expected it to be. Yeah, thank you. That's my
Yes.
not
thank you
very
for sharing.
inspiring message, I suppose.
Well, I think, Ayasopana, are you having a thought you would like to share? Okay, then inviting Ayasopana.
It seems that several of us among the older in years had the experience early on where we had the chance to meet excellent bhikkhu mentors and teachers who were highly accomplished and able to give some systematic training, which was possible then to take us up to a certain level. We do not yet, as far as I know, have many, if any, examples purely on the Bhikkhuni side of such well-established communities with leading teachers who are such highly accomplished masters of meditation, masters of the Dhamma, and who are erudite and knowledgeable in the teachings. So then, of course, in this modern time, with now we live in cyberspace, and we have these little boxes. I can see these little friends in this inside that machine over there, and on the other side of the room. I can see these wonderful friends, and there are still opportunities for friendship and support among both bhikkhu and bhikkhunis who are senior and accomplished. But what seems to be wanting for the next generation to really be able to take off is for them to have a period of training where there's a face-to-face community, where there could be multiple students or younger bhikkhunis in training having a chance to both learn from each other and to have that collegiality and that experience of being side by side and rubbing shoulders with friends, and also having the presence of accomplished, active, erudite teachers on many different levels. So one thing that I would ask if those of us who have been around for a while now, if we should try to be more successful in taking care of ourselves in order to attain and accomplish and to become the kind of master or the kind of accomplished monastic, to become one who's realized, in order to then have something of so precious to offer to those young aspirants who are coming forward. Others may know the answer better than me.
Well, yes, thank you for sharing those thoughts. I'm interested in whether Ayamarajina or Venerable Vandana would like to share a little bit. Ayamarajina, I saw you nodding along.
Unmuting myself.
Mhm.
I want to express my gratitude because I feel like sometimes when we get together, or I mean, not we, because I think this is the first time that I'm participating, but it just doesn't seem like it's really touching the thick of it. And I do feel like we are hearing, I'm hearing what I have experienced, and I'm very grateful. And it's not that it's going to stop there. It's just that we can't keep wearing these, rose-colored glasses or sugarcoating everything, and allowing younger or older, you know, people into our into the monasteries without a very good idea that, the upasampada is when you've seen it, you're like, you're over it, and that nibbana, that the world honored one spoke the truth, and the truth is available to us, but and it comes at the price of sama bayamo, sama sati, sama samadhi, which is difficult when we don't have really strong support systems. There's I watch the bhikkhus on YouTube, and they're younger than I am, and they have 40 years in robes, and they're masters of the Abhidhamma or masters of the Sutta Pitaka, and that's wonderful. But it's not wonderful when they don't even acknowledge our existence. So there's a lot here to unpack, and I just want to express gratitude again, because I feel like if we actually talk to the issues, the real issues, we can get some ground beneath the feet, and maybe start paving the highway ourselves. Because I mean, I'm on the highway, but it's like I'm on a tricycle, and some of the bhikkhus are in, fast cars, and it's okay. I mean, I'm happy for them. I think it's lovely, and I have get a lot of inspiration from them. But at the same time, my Dhamma siblings, we also deserve support to do that as well. Thank you.
Me too. Just want to read a comment from Sheila. She says, it sounds as if it's time for a paradigm shift. Is it possible to reimagine the structure of the Bhikkhuni Sangha? So, well, that could be its own panel discussion. That's a big question, but I think that's a good question. I appreciate that. as a way of thinking about it. How do we shift the paradigm? Also a question from Karina. I'm curious to hear how everyone understands the role and relationship of the monastic Sangha to lay community. What does the lay community look for in the monastic Sangha in your experience, besides a way of ordination? What has been the interest? Would anyone like to speak to that? For those who come, the lay community, what are they looking for?
Well, I think it's very varied. I think different people are looking for different things. So there are those who are looking for equality, who've seen the bhikkhus and they're inspired, and then they see that there are also bhikkhunis or those who've gone forth in other renunciant forms in Buddhist worlds, Buddhist countries, and they're looking for equality. So I think that's one thing that people look for, that the women can have an equal standing to the men. So I think that's one piece. And then there's a lot of people in say in the West, a lot of people are not so interested in the monastics. There is a very strong Dhamma scene among the lay people. There are great training programs of all different levels, and the lay community have a lot of access to Dhamma and study and community and so on, online or occasional, that is rich in many ways. So there are those who are not super interested in the monastics because they have already a lot of access to teachings and practice and retreat and so on. And then there are those who really value the renunciant form, who respect and understand and value that, and who see that to give yourself completely to this path and practice, as the monastics do, is a rare and precious thing in the world. And it's different. It's different to the lay teachers or the lay practitioners or retreat junkies or whatever. It's a different flavor, and it's rich and deep and it has an ancient lineage. And I think that there's a certain level of safety that the monastics offer in terms of having such high ethics, that we offer a safety to people. They can be trustworthy, and there can be, it varies, but like a depth of understanding of the Dhamma, whether that's through study, through understanding of Pali and being able to translate, through knowledge of suttas, through meditation practice, through integration of the practice of all of those things, or some of those things, into our lives in this in the monastic life, but also in the 21st century. That it's a particular flavor that you're not going to find anywhere else, and there's a depth to it. But I'd be interested also to hear from some of the lay community here. What brings you?
Any responses to that? Ananea?
Well, it's lovely to see all of you at one time, and Venerable Margina, I don't know of you. I haven't met you before, but it's lovely to have you here on the Zoom meeting. Well, this is something I think I've thought about for a long time now, and as this is happening for Bhikkhunis, or actually has been happening for quite some time, but really, I think more, maybe more notice of it, or it's become a bit more in the public domain. At the same time that there is, as you know, well, a huge upheaval in societies all around the world. And so this is like part of that. So it is a huge time of change, and there's always opportunity in huge times of change. And what the Bhikkhuni prospects, or what the future may look for all of you and for those to come, aspirants, we really kind of don't have a clue exactly, other than to identify, as has been identified, that what's current isn't working. And one of the things, like here in California, and I know Ananda Bodhi and Santa Chita are aware of this, because they were, up until recently, had lived here for quite some time and had been involved in a property, is the huge expense of getting a Sangha together. Now, that's not true in all parts of the world, but it certainly is true in places like this, and even the whole West Coast. Oregon and Washington State also, especially around Seattle, are quite expensive. So, but there are people who have been willing to support this. I mean, it does exist, okay? People did put the funding into places and will continue to do that. The sheer numbers aren't there yet. I mean, it's still very, very small. Community-wise, and how to expand that. I think actually Zoom has been one of the best things, because it's just made it possible for people all over the world to have contact with many of you when you give talks on Zoom, etc. So I don't know that there's a particular answer right now, but I do believe that there's definitely something unfolding. And we just, to stay the course with this and to not give up, because you have been personally inspiring to me for a number of years now. And I would certainly, because it's affected my practice so very much, I would certainly want to see this going forward for other lay people, as well as for monastics, those aspiring to become monastics. So, I think it's good that you look at the nitty-gritty and how it is so not supported on so many levels. But in that, there's some kernel of a truth that can move it forward. And it's a question of entertaining all of those things and then allowing something will come out, because we know that the Dhamma always is there. The Dhamma hasn't gone anywhere. The Dhamma is what will lead us out of it. We just don't know quite how all of those things. It's definitely huge challenges for the community. But I do have faith that this will come to pass. I may not live to see it, but that's okay. I know that there are people behind me who are going to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananea. Yeah, well, this conversation is getting more lively now. I see a number of hands up. We're also coming towards the end of our program. But I would like to hear from Shari and Karina, and then I have one last question for all of our panelists after that. Shari, please.
Well, I won't take up very much time. I was sitting here trying to think how to put the words together. Since I've been acquainted with the Bhikkhuni Sangha since Dhammadharini was founded here in Fremont, I think really I found being with people. Aya Ananda Bodhi was asking us. There's this great lay practitioner community with lots of wonderful teachers who are very accessible to lay people and have a true understanding of what our lives are like. So that's a positive side of lay practice. But I continue to truly value my connection with the monastic community, even though I haven't taken the renunciate path, because it's just so inspiring to know people who are devoting their entire lives to achieve enlightenment, and that they're really walking the path and doing everything within their power. And leaving their personal identities behind and taking on a full identity of seeking enlightenment. And, that's something that I personally am not capable of doing, but I find it very inspiring to be around monastics who are. I was thinking today, so I'm in one of those I'm in a couple of different lay practice communities as well as a monastic. I spend time listening to monastics share the Dhamma at least weekly. And one of the questions that I was to answer for one of my study groups was, how do I align with the Dhamma? And it brought up a memory of when I was walking through the hills here in Fremont with Ayatata Loka years ago. And there was something just amazingly special about being in her presence. And I had an incredible sense of the three marks of existence, the sense of impermanence and how things change over time. And I would never have that. I think it was just the inspiration of being so close to someone who was so devoted to their practice. So, and I think also it's wonderful to be with the Bhikkhunis because they connect us with the full Fourfold Sangha, right? Without monastics, we don't have a true Fourfold Sangha. So it's so important for us to have all parts of the Sangha and to be connected with the past, with the traditions of how Buddhism has always been practiced. And so anyway, I'm just really grateful for the existence of the monastic Sangha and of all of those who have taken ordination on behalf of their own enlightenment and that of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Shari, for those kind words. I'm going to go to Karina, and then I'll ask my final question.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Ayananda Bodhi, I can relate to many of those reasons that you said. And I'm reading Karuna's response also. I can, especially the inspiration for our own practice, and connecting to the direct lineage. But part of the reason I was thinking of this question was what you said, Ayasanta Chitta, about that people can forget about us. They can lose interest or not have interest. So I was thinking about that relationship, not only mine, but just in general. And my experience has been that most of the Bhikkhu Sanghas are very culturally based, whether they're in Sri Lankan or Thai or whatever country. And so it's like a way for people to connect culturally. But I think that's something special about the Bhikkhuni Sangha is that it's not so tied to one Asian culture only. So for me, it's like the distillation of the distillation. It's it's a question I don't have an answer to, but I think it's important to ponder, and I'm really curious to see how the Bhikkhuni Sangha what it's going to evolve into, and what kind of a relationship, what is it going to provide for the lay community that the lay community can't forget. And it's so not only is it the depth of the practice of any monastic community, but it's the female voice. It's very different for me to be practicing with female monastics than male monastics. But I think also in this 21st century, when it's not so culturally tied, there's a little bit more freedom. Like in my experience, there hasn't been much talk about the environment or or racism or anything along that nature. It's much more just just the roots, and that's it. And so I really, that's something special that I find in the Bhikkhuni Sangha, that it's a little bit more open because it's not so tied to one tradition, cultural tradition. And I think it's important to cultivate that and to see what is, yeah. I mean, and of course, at the root of it is our own practice, our own needing to find encouragement for our own practice. It's what's going to draw us there. My other experience of people going to the monastery a lot, so it was either a cultural connection, or they were interested in ordination, or it was they had been through some great suffering. They lost a loved one, something along those lines, and this was the place to go. Yeah, so I think about those relationships and how important and how rare it is to find that kind of wisdom and guidance in life and the difficult lives that we have as human beings. And that's what I see. That's so important in the monastic sangha, is finding that depth of wisdom and guidance for lay people, which makes it impossible to forget. Thank you.
Thank you, Karina. So my last question after all this discussion of the challenges is, was it worth it? Is it worth the trouble? You know, for myself, I certainly recognize these challenges that are mentioned, but I also don't know what else I would be doing with my life. I can't really think of anything better, no matter how difficult this is. So for me, yes, but I want to ask Venerable Vandana, when those girls come and say, or whoever asks you, why have you stayed in robes this long? What is the benefit of that, despite all the challenges? What do you say to them?
It's like human beings don't have any goal in their life. It's just like they're always chasing money and fame, and they think, okay, this is the life. But in the end, everything will be gone. It's like Alexander, we know about him. Like when he passed away, he showed people that I am wealthiest person in this world, but still, when I died, I'm taking nothing with me. So I think this is a really great lesson for the people to understand that what we earn today, is it just to survive, not to be a great person or something. So everyone heard about the King Ashoka also. He was a great king, but still he couldn't find the reason why he's leaving. And in the end, he had everything, but still he have some kind of suffering, but don't know how to overcome from it. So same with me. I sometimes when we talked about the challenges, I had a lots of challenge, especially with the Asian, not only with the society, but with my own family also. We as being a girl, it's not easy, but I think without teacher, it's really difficult. And sometimes also I feel lost, like what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I had this question a lot of time, because I have no one to give that answer to me, like why I'm in the role, what I'm doing, and what I'm getting from it. And I read the story of Buddha. Someone is asking Buddha, what you gain after doing meditation all the time. And then Buddha said, oh, here's what I did. I didn't gain anything, but I lose something. So then he explains, he lose anger, everything. I can't speak now, but yeah. So when I read that inspiration stories, then I feel like, oh, okay, maybe one day I will find out why I am here. And when I tell people like I'm in the robe since a young age, so people say, oh, you are so lucky. Maybe you have lots of merits. And I was like, I don't know if I have merits because I don't know what I'm doing and why I'm doing. I want to find it out. And that's why I was keep going. Maybe one day I will find out why I'm here. And really I have merits or not. So I'm keep going. And now I'm here and I really wanted a teacher. I was really desperate because I'm really confused. Even I'm following the path of the Dhamma, but still I'm confused because I don't have anyone to guide me, to hold my hand and tell me, oh, you are on the right path. You don't have to be afraid. We are here to help, hold you if you fall down. So I used to talk with Ayati, and she was always there to guide me through all ups and downs. And I feel still, I was not in touch. I never met her in the person, but with her words, I can feel the warmth. Like, oh, I have someone uh, who understands me and who's there to guide me. And now when I'm here, I'm really grateful, and I feel like, okay, now I know what I'm doing and where I'm going. So I'm really grateful for Ayata Taloka to inviting me here and having me here, and to giving importance to my thought. That's why we're having this panel discussion today. And I'm really happy, and I'm really inspired what all you said. And I think it's really important to listen each other and support each other to like create a good Bhikkhuni Sangha in the future. So we don't feel like I'm falling down and there's no one for me to hold me back. And I will not afraid to walk freely on this path of the Dhamma. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. Oh, yes. Yes, Ayananda devotee, I think, is expressing it with the hearts there. Would you like to express anything in words, or shall we go to our closing? You did there. All right. Well, I think I'm going to let Venerable Vandana have the last words here. I think those are good. It's a good summation. So, coming to our closing, my own wish is that the good work of establishing the Bhikkhuni Sangha 2,600 years ago, reviving it in the 20th and 21st centuries, that this work should not be lost. It should be carried forward, and that it should be a blessing and a benefit for the world. So for all the merits of our efforts in this regard, we'd like to share metta and blessings with our monastic and friends who are in poor health, especially Ayata Taloka and Venerable Tavira, also those in the US and around the world who are suffering from fires, from floods, all kinds of disasters, natural and human caused. May this good Dhamma that we have developed, all this good work, all these good efforts that we have made, may this be a blessing and benefit to them, to us, and to all. And so for our final blessing chanting here, I'm going to put something on the screen. Maybe. Hang on. Okay. All right. So this is the verses of the elder Bhatta Kundalakesa. I'm going to read it for you first in English, and then we'll chant in Pali. So these are the verses from the Therigatha of the great Arahant Bhikkhuni, Bhatta Kundalakesa. She says, in the past, I would wander with only one robe, my head shaved, my body covered in mud. I would see the blameworthy as blameless, and the blameless as blameworthy. Having ventured out from my days abiding at Vulture's Peak Mountain, I saw the stainless Buddha leading the monastic Sangha. I knelt in respect before him, my hands in Anjali. Come, Badha, he said. That was my higher ordination. I traveled to Anga, Magadha, Vaji, Kasi, and Kosala. Free of debt for 50 years, I ate the country's alms food. Surely he accumulated so much merit, that wise lay devotee, who gave a robe to Bhaddha, released from all fetters. So, may we also be so blessed that those who are called to the Sangha are still able to come, able to be ordained, able to awaken, able to live free from debt, and able to be such a field of merit for the world. And then we're going to chant this, the verses in Pali. Luna kesi pankadhari ekasati pore charing avajje vajjamatini vajje cha vajjadasini diva vihara nikkamma gejakotam hipabbate adasang virajang bodhang Bhikkhu Sangha Purakatang Nihatta Janung Vanditva Sammukha Anjaling Akang Ehi Bhate Timang Avacha Same Asupa Sampada Chinna Anga Jamagadha Vajika Sicha Kosala Anana Panna Sawasani Ratha Pindang Abunjahang Punyang Watapasawibahung Sapanyo Watayang Upasako Yo Bhaddaya Chivarang Adasi Vipamutaya Sabhagante Yiti Bhavatu Sabba Mangalang Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Buddha Nubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabba Mangalang Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Dhammanubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabba Mangalang Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Sanghanubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te. All right. Thank you all. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, all participants and everyone online, everyone on the YouTube who we can't see. We're happy you're all here. Wishing you all the blessings of this auspicious anniversary day. So I'm gonna